It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, and welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It is Monday morning, March 23rd, 2026. It's time for the Morning Rundown, brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. Located just a few miles from the airport, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here is the morning rundown for Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Number one, this morning, President Trump said he's delaying for 5 days the full-out attack on the electricity and energy infrastructure of Iran because apparently they have initiated peace talks or delayed while negotiations are ongoing. We'll see how that plays out. I remain skeptical about the regime over there. The regime there, they just seem to want to hold on to power, and they're doing everything possible to maintain it. Number two, the TSA shutdown backups continue, but today, this morning, ICE is going into 14 airports. That's good news. Number three, there was an accident on the ground at LaGuardia Airport yesterday, early this morning. Two are dead. They were an Air Canada pilot and co-pilot. Apparently, a fire truck ran into them, or they ran into the fire truck. We don't know the details on that. But chaos at airports continues. Number four, Donald Trump is in Memphis today to talk about the success of the Safety Task Force. That should be pretty good. And a lot of dignitaries from Tennessee will be down there. Number five, this is very important because nobody else is doing this, and it must be done. We are investigating the improbable pickleball death of my friend and cheerleading industry great and big supporter of Charlie Kirk, the one, the only Jeff Webb. He invented the cheerleading industry, and the report was he died this past Thursday, March 19th. Now, the claim is, or the report is, he had a pickleball accident 2 weeks earlier. That'd be about March 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. Really, how many people have died hitting their head playing pickleball in the last decade in the United States? We'll have the answer to that question for you with Tom Pappert at the bottom of this hour. Number six, we have an illegal alien deportation update. Yes, the latest on Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Estefany Rodriguez Flores. Kilmar, apparently the feds want to send him to Liberia. And of course, the left-wing lawyer heads are exploding. Number seven, the author of The Misrule of Law, our very good friend Mark Pulliam, will be with us in hour two. He wants to talk about, he's got a word for Chief Justice John Roberts. Yeah, John Roberts says, don't be criticizing all of our judges. Mark Pulliam says, hey, Chief Justice Roberts, you need to slap down all these Obama-appointed, Biden-appointed judges who are not following the Constitution. Justice Roberts says, well, there's no such thing as an Obama judge or a Biden judge or a Trump judge. Yes, there is, Captain Obvious. All right, number eight. Well, Zohran Mamdani and his wife, Zohran, of course, the mayor of New York City, are pushing this pro-Muslim agenda every possible way. More on the terrible statements made by his wife. Anti-Christian, anti-American, pro-Sharia law. We'll have that. And then number nine, we've got this. Nick Shirley has been exposing all of this terrible fraud in California, leading Gavin Newsom to attack Nick Shirley. Why? He's a 23-year-old kid. He's just exposing fraud. So there you go. That is the morning rundown for Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store. Now, you know they've been running this big deal on Gen 6 Glocks, and I've been able to get them extended for, well, at least one more day. The Gen 6 Glocks, have you heard about them? I talked to Lenny McGill about this, the CEO and founder of the Glock store. Here's what a Gen 6 Glock has. A new optic system, an RTF6 texturing, an enlarged beaver tail, flat-face trigger, a trigger guard undercut, and an integrated thumb rest, that's a thumb rest known as the gas pedal. How about that? Lenny tells me that these Gen 6 Glocks are by far the most refined Glocks ever produced. And, you know, the Glock store, because they're the number one retailer of Glocks in the country, they tell me they've received their first shipment of Gen 6 Glock 17s, 19s, and 45s, but they were literally all gone before they arrived at the warehouse. That's because the Glock store is letting you pre-order these new Glocks, so you'll be one of the first people to get them. Now, as a thank you for your pre-order, you'll get an extra magazine when you receive your new Gen 6 Glock. This is what we got going for at least another day. I'm going to talk to them and see if they can do the whole week, but another day. Do this. Number one, go to glockstore.com. Number two, click on the Gen 6 tab at the top of the website. Number three, place your pre-order for the Glock or Glocks of your choice. And number four, go to the notes section. Put MPL Mag in. When they ship your new Glock to the FFL of your choice, or you pick it up at the Glock store, retail showroom here in Nashville, the Glock store will throw in an extra magazine. This is a very limited time offer. It's about to end. So here's the thing. Go there to the glockstore.com, place your order, and in the notes section, put MPL Mag, and you'll get the free magazine. $24 value. Visit glockstore.com today. I promise you'll be glad you did. Okay, let's get to the news of the day. Now, this is interesting. So the Democrats are really in the business of causing pain to American people. They don't care about what happens to average, everyday Americans. They just want to try and win politically. They think shutting down the TSA is a way to win. Here's what Hakeem Jeffries said about it yesterday. The dollar store Obama is what Sean Farash calls him, who's the minority leader in the House. Hakeem Jeffries, clip 15.
What's your response to what Tom Homan revealed here?
Well, good morning. Great to be with you. There are three things that have been true since Donald Trump and Republicans came back into power last January. Life is more expensive, life is more chaotic, and life is more extreme. The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have for the most part, let alone deploying them in close exposure in highly sensitive situations.
Okay, so this is, this is the meme. This is the lie that the Democrats are putting out. Every time you turn on a Democrat, untrained ICE officers, untrained. It's not true. They're very highly trained. But the Democrats, they want maximum pain to the American people. They could care less about these TSA folks. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, Guy Benson just took it to Zohran Mamdani and his wife. Let's play this, clip 17.
The First Lady of New York City is not a private figure by definition at this point. And it came out recently that she had liked a number of social media posts celebrating the October 7th massacre of nearly 1,200 people in Israel, including rape denialism and a lot of very ugly stuff. Then there was a subsequent story about her social media footprint going back to her teenage years and early 20s, where there was some slurs that she was engaged in against gay people. She used the N-word in one post as well. A lot of people saying, oh, well, that's ancient history. She was a teenager. We shouldn't be doing cancel culture going all the way back. I tend to agree with that. But also in her teens, she was celebrating terrorism and terrorists in those posts, which she has continued to do in her adult life.
Yeah, and so let's just get to the bottom line. New York City has a Muslim mayor who's trying to destroy America, and his wife is all in it. Hey, when we come back, you're going to learn about the great man who died on Thursday, Jeff Webb, my good friend. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
The Trump administration has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system, but there's only so much the government can do. And if we really want to make America healthy again, that starts at home, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. The Wellness Company allows you to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits, which contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. The Wellness Company also offers a variety of health products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more, helping you stay healthy and live a longer, better, healthier life. Make America healthy again. That starts at home. So do your part and protect the health of you and your family. All you have to do is go to twc.health/Godzilla today and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10%. That's twc.health/Godzilla.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
On Thursday, Jeff Webb died. He was a friend of mine. I'd known him for a decade. He was a true patriot, a great entrepreneur. We worked very closely on several projects. And he died on Thursday. He was 76 years old. He was worth mega millions, I think like $200 million net worth. The circumstances of his death were improbable. Supposedly he died from a head injury playing pickleball. We'll get into that next segment. I want you to know what kind of guy Jeff Webb was. He was an early supporter of Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA. In tribute to Jeff Webb, they put this out actually before his death. Let's play this clip right now. It's a long clip. You need to know Jeff Webb.
From 0 to 2 billion, 300,000 kids at camp, competitions all over the world, million uniform pieces a year, and doing something you love, only in America.
High school pride and spirit is a tradition that has endured through the generations.
Jeff Webb is kind of the personification of the American dream.
So I'm joined now by Jeff Webb, who is the founder and creator of Varsity Spirit.
Providing a platform and a showcase for outstanding young people to really present what they can do.
We developed the concept of a cheerleading competition not as a profit center, but as a platform for young people to show their athleticism and what they could do. It's that experience that really drives us to create this amazing experience for kids that kind of something they can remember the rest of their lives and that they can take with them and really build on that as they build their lives.
This is all video of cheerleading competitions, by the way.
It's like a 3-day experience. These kids come in, they warm up, many stay right here in one of the hotels at Disney. And the idea here is not only do they have the benefits of the competition, but also they can have a great time. We created the sport and we helped create the market. We didn't get any money from the government, no grants or anything like that. We did it ourselves. It's been a labor of love, there's no doubt. We consider ourselves really the stewards of the sport. There was nobody else that could really have the kind of impact and influence and set rules like we could, because we were having all the only competitions. We were running most of the training in the camps. We started with 4,000 people and 24 instructors. Early on, we developed the first safety guidelines and safety rules for cheerleading, and that was, frankly, we were developing cheerleading as you see it today as we went along. Our culture became one of, because we were young and because we were the small company in the industry and we had to fight and claw and we had something to prove and we were all about the same age and we were good friends, it created this kind of egalitarian feeling where everybody was one for all and all for one, and we refused to lose. We got to a point where we were creating this whole new sport with all these incredible stunts and acrobatics, and people were going crazy for it, and there was no uniforms that really would work for that. We actually had to get into the uniform business. We needed to have that type of apparel to be able to do what we do and have our students do that. So we created a uniform line, which eventually became the biggest profit generator for the company. So once we had the camps going, the competitions going, and the uniforms, our concept was to have the #1 position in each one of those, and then to cross-market between them. It created a very powerful franchise. It propelled double-digit growth for over 20 years and built, I think, what's a pretty amazing company. So when cable really began to get launched, I had a friend we were working with in production of our shows that left to go to work for this upstart cable company in Bristol, Connecticut, called ESPN. ESPN was only in 4 million homes when we joined them. You know, so as ESPN's footprint grew, our exposure grew. And we kind of grew up with ESPN. And we're now the longest standing broadcast partner that ESPN has. Not the NFL, not college football. They weren't even there when we started. And it was us and billiards and alligator wrestling or something like that. Starting from, $85,000 in capital and running the business out of my apartment and building it to a point where it's no secret that, revenues in excess of $2 billion, 8,000 employees, increases in sales and profits 44 out of 45 years. We have over 300,000 people at our summer camps. We do over 1 million uniform pieces, custom pieces for high schools and colleges all over the country. We do over 400 competitions right across the country. Then, with our finals there in Orlando. We're pretty proud of that business performance, but it's still not the most important thing, and it's still not what drives us. And what drives us is doing something great and building a great organization and really making a contribution to young people in this country. Young people today are not lazy, as some people like to say. Millennials, they're not lazy. I work with thousands of them every year. They're not lazy. They need some help in finding their way, and they need some help with our institutions in making them more available to everybody.
This is an image of Jeff. We'll keep rolling the clip here. He owned a 700-acre hunting lodge.
Three children, a great gift, and that's an appreciation and respect for the outdoors. And for me, that's really my recreation. I've been fortunate enough, with the success of the company, to be able to acquire land. We're here at Mallard Point Lodge in Brinkley, Arkansas. 700 acres of incredible duck and goose hunting, and just a great environment to have a lot of fun and entertain friends and family. So during the wintertime, some of the greatest duck and goose hunting in the country, only in America.
Some video here of this cheerleading competition, summary of it.
You get to the national championship competitions in particular, there's only going to be one winner, and they all want to be the winner. That's who they are. We all want to win when we compete. I want to put them in a position where they appreciate where they are and what a tribute they are by being there. You know, whether you win or lose, that is the time to set a good example of what character is all about. And then I send them back to their teams to talk about that before we make the awards.
Yeah. Now, let me just say this. I mean, that's been going on for, 3-4 decades now? 4 decades, I think. And he believed in America. We helped him with a book that he wrote about the middle class in America and the dreams of achieving success, the American dream. He also was an early financial backer of Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, and a very influential guy. There, if you watch NBC News, or NBC rather, in November, launched a sitcom called Stumble, which is basically about the competitive cheerleading industry. It's pretty well received, actually. It's basically they're trying to train a new squad of students at a junior college, and it's all that experience, and it's pretty good, and it does capture a little bit of that spirit. Now, I will say this about Jeff, because I was in innumerable meetings with him. He was always a positive guy. The other thing, he died on Thursday at the age of 76. This guy was in terrific shape. He was only like 5'3", 5'4", but he probably could bench press 250 pounds. I'm telling you, the guy was, in great shape. And he worked out all the time, did weights, did running, played sports, played pickleball, played tennis, played others. It is improbable that he died playing pickleball. The whole story does not sit well with me. I'm not saying there's anything nefarious, but the whole truth of his death has not come out. We are determined to find the truth of my friend Jeff Webb's death and to report on it. When we come back, Tom Pappert, our lead political reporter, and I will talk about the unanswered questions surrounding the improbable pickleball death of Jeff Webb. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Right now, union label legislators in Richmond are pushing to impose union monopoly bargaining on all Virginia state and local government workers. Unbelievable. That will cost taxpayers billions while reducing state and local government's flexibility to deliver services to constituents efficiently. In fact, years ago, the Heritage Foundation, they found that government monopoly bargaining in a state cost a family of four $3,000 in increased taxes per year. Let that sink in. $3,000 a year. Tell your legislators and Governor Spanberger in Virginia to oppose union monopoly bargaining over state and local government workers. Protect yourself, protect your paycheck, protect your money. Sign the petition. Go to VirginiaRightToWork.com. That's VirginiaRightToWork.com. 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 This message paid for by the National Right to Work Committee.
End the madness. Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at CreeksidePetHotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. On our Zoom Newsmaker line right now, the Dow Prize Award winner, our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, Tom Patrick. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Michael.
Well, we're doing something a little bit different here. We're at the beginning of an investigative series. We don't have a story up yet, but I wanted everybody to know the questions that we want to ask. So Thursday night, we got terrible news. Our good friend Jeff Webb, who I did a summary of his life in our previous segment, died on Thursday, March 19th, 2026, at the age of 76. Here is a statement in the Daily Cheer that came out on the 19th, updated on the 20th. Here's a report. I'll read it to you. and then I'll start some questions. Quote, in an email sent to the Varsity Spirit community, I think parens, on March 19th, end parens, company president Bill Seeley said Jeff Webb suffered a fall while playing pickleball 2 weeks earlier and sustained a severe head injury. Webb was hospitalized following the accident, and his family later made the decision to remove him from life support. Now, I saw this and I thought this is entirely improbable. Let me ask you this question first. How many pickleball deaths have there been from head injuries in the past decade in the United States of America?
Well, Michael, digging through the records, I've yet to find a single pickleball injury that resulted in death, a head injury, that is. Now, there's, of course, been a handful of cardiac arrests, of heart attacks. People are playing the sport and have a fatal heart attack and pass before they're able to get to a hospital. But this, as far as I can tell, would be the first head injury from pickleball resulting in death.
At least in the United States. I saw one report that there was one pickleball head injury death in Canada back in 2024. But still, look at this. There is a Pickleball USA organization. It's based in Phoenix. Apparently, 24 million people a year play pickleball. Why don't you just describe what pickleball is, Tom?
Well, Michael, it was originally very popular with seniors and retirees, and essentially if you're watching it, it looks like a cross between ping pong and tennis. So we're not talking a massive amount of physical exertion. And in recent years, it's grown in popularity among younger people, by the way. So the average age of a pickleball player in 2026 is now just 35 years old.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. Now, have we contacted or will we be contacting the Pickleball USA organization based in Phoenix, Arizona, and ask them if they're going to conduct an investigation into the death of Jeff Webb?
Well, I think we're going to have to, Michael, and the circumstances around this death, and again, it's such a horrible tragedy. Jeff Webb was actually at the White House when Charlie Kirk received his posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom. But I think we're going to have to ask, because pickleball is, again, a growing sport, but there's just so many questions here. There's a tournament happening in Memphis at the Memphis Country Club near where Jeff Webb lived for pickleball. They have 6 pickleball courts. So I think the association owes it to the public, to the millions of people who play their sport, to figure out what happened here and if it was related to the sport or something else.
Well, let's take a look at this. So the only evidence that we had of the date of the accident was in this email from the president of Varsity Spirit. That's the company that Jeff founded and then sold it and made, well over $100 million when he sold it. The president said on March 19th, he said the incident took place. He suffered a fall while playing pickleball 2 weeks earlier. That would place this March 15th, March 5th rather, plus or minus a couple days, right?
Right.
Okay, right. Where did this happen?
Well, and we don't know. That is part of the question. Now, it's been reported in an obituary by Sportico that Jeff Webb was living at a condominium that was just directly adjacent to the Memphis Country Club. And again, we know the Memphis Country Club had 6 pickleball courts. We know they're hosting a pickleball tournament actually later this week, and that they advertise. We don't know if it happened there, but it would make sense if it did. Now, this condominium, we're also going to have to research the nearby condominiums to find out if they might have had a pickleball court. There has to be only so many options in the city of Memphis when it comes to pickleball, Michael.
So I guess we're going to ask Memphis Country Club if the accident that turned out to be fatal, according to reports for Jeff Webb, happened at the Memphis Country Club. Do you think they'll go on the record?
I think it would be unwise for them not to, Michael. I mean, it's being described as a freak accident. Even if it did happen on their property, and we don't know either way, I think that they would owe it to their clients, to the general public, and everybody involved to simply say, yes, it was a horrible accident, if it did happen at their club. I don't know why they wouldn't go on the record unless there's some sort of liability concern.
Do we know who he was playing with? Was it a singles or a doubles match?
Michael, it has yet to be reported as far as I've seen. And again, this happened, I guess, over 2 weeks ago now. So it would seem to me that that should be readily available information.
Do you think there's a video of the game and the accident? Would that exist?
I've had some thoughts on this. And Michael, if it happened at the Memphis Country Club, it seems almost certain there would be some sort of video. But if it happened at a condominium in the upscale part of Memphis next to the Memphis Country Club, I also think that there would be very likely to be a video. Now, the people who hold such a video may not want it released on YouTube for the general public to see, but I do think it's important that those in authority see such a video.
Has the Memphis coroner released a statement yet on the cause of death?
Not that we've seen, Michael, but again, I think that this is just fairly late breaking, and I'm sure the family is very involved. Again, it was the family who made the decision last week to end life support after the accident had happened, again, sometime between March 4th and March 6th, we'll say.
Do we know what hospital he was treated at?
You know, Michael, I'm not sure if that's been publicly reported yet, but I think that we're going to have to find out, especially considering he was there for some time. I'm certain that that's going to come out in the near future. We'll be the first to find it if I have anything to say.
Do we know at all if Jeff Webb had a living will or a set of instructions as to, how people should deal with it if he's in a coma?
Well, it's not been reported, but the fact that he was left in the coma for 2 weeks would indicate that this is an individual that was not somebody who wanted the plug to be pulled immediately, let's say. I would also add that there was some signs of improvement. So I think that we're going to have that hopefully in a very comfortable way for the family explained. How does somebody get better from a head injury for a week to 10 days and then suddenly take such a dramatic decline that it's worth removing life support?
Yeah, the other thing too about this, which is troubling to me, because I knew Jeff Webb. We worked with him for years on any number of projects. We helped him with a book that he wrote. He had some political groups that we were a part of, and he was a good friend. I think I told you last week when we found this news on Friday, he was a pilot. Did I tell you that, Tom?
I was listening as you told the listeners, and what a fun story. I've ridden with one pilot, and when the pilot himself is flying the plane, they have a lot of fun. I can only imagine what that was like.
Well, and I said I'm a very risk-averse guy about physical safety, but I trusted Jeff. And he had, state-of-the-art avionics, and it was, a pretty sharp-looking private plane. So I flew with him on a business meeting. He flew from Nashville down to Memphis and back the same day. It was a glorious day and beautiful, and he was very competent as a pilot. And he's just not a guy, a couple things about him. He's not a guy to do reckless things. Even playing pickleball, it doesn't add up to me that the story that he hit his head playing pickleball just doesn't add up to me at all. And the other thing, too, that doesn't add up to me, Tom, is I think Jeff Webb was a guy like me. I have given, and by the way, if this ever happens to me, here is evidence, right? Never, ever, ever pull the plug on me because I'm coming back. That's my attitude. If I'm in a coma, never pull the plug on me. But perhaps he had different instructions. Do we have any information about what his instructions were at the end of life? Or
it's not been included in obituaries, Michael, but just talking about coming back from a horrible fall made me think of another real conservative icon who is doing exactly that, Dennis Prager. He had the fall in the shower a year or so ago, and he's now making the comeback, slowly getting back from paralysis. So I think that is a common thing in the conservative movement, and you're in good company. And I certainly feel bad that Jeff Webb won't have the ability to do the same now.
So you have a series of investigative questions that you're going to put out. Let's see, who are we going to talk to? We're going to talk to the Memphis Country Club. We're going to talk to, the president of Varsity Spirit, Bill Seeley, how he knew that this accident happened. We're going to talk to the condominium there. We're going to we're going to try and find out the hospital. We're going to talk to the attorney, right? What were his instructions if you were in a coma? We're going to talk to the medical examiner. We're going to talk to the Pickleball Association. I'm probably going to place an inquiry with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the medical examiner. We got to find out what was the real cause of death here.
Well, that's right. And I think what's most important to me is, one, the medical examiner, because they're going to be able to tell us what type of fall this was. And two, I think it's very important that the Memphis Country Club and anybody else in the city with a pickleball court respond to our questions and get this information out there. Because if, heaven forbid, this happened due to, say, slip and fall due to improperly maintained facilities, that needs to be public. And I think, by the way, the pickleball folks in Arizona would have a vested interest in knowing that their sport is not if you look at it, it's not a dangerous sport. They need some answers here to explain how such a tragedy could occur, playing a sport that nobody would call dangerous on their best day, on their craziest day.
I can say this. What has now been released to us about the death of Jeff Webb is not the full story. And Tom Pappert and the Tennessee Star and I will get the full story. Tom, when we come back, we've got an illegal alien deportation update. Back with Tom Pappert after this.
Is a record player the best way to listen to music? Of course not. So why are you still taking vitamins in pill form that haven't been upgraded since the 1930s? Even if you don't have trouble swallowing, most vitamins in pill form can't be absorbed very well. It's time to upgrade to the pill-free future of vitamins. Advanced nutrition company, Healthy Cell, created a patent-pending ingestible gel that is clinically proven to have 265% the absorption rate of tablets. These physician-formulated supplements come in a small gel pack. You tear off the top and shoot it down. You can also mix it in water. They taste great, they're convenient on the go, and they're more natural too, without chemical binders, fillers, and coatings. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com. HEALTHYCELL.com.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
The Trump administration has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system, but there's only so much the government can do. And if we really want to make America healthy again, that starts at home, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. The Wellness Company allows you to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits, which contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. The Wellness Company also offers a variety of health products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more, helping you stay healthy and live a longer, better, healthier life. Make America healthy again. That starts at home. So do your part and protect the health of you and your family. All you have to do is go to twc.health/Godzilla today and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10%. That's twc.health/Godzilla. All right, folks, I need you to do something right now. Go to johnfredericksradio.com and take our brand new 2028 Republican presidential straw poll. Who do you want leading the ticket? Don't let the elites decide. Make your voice heard. While you're there, weigh in on two huge issues: eminent domain reform and President Trump's tariff policies. Are they protecting American workers or hurting growth? This is your movement, your vote, your voice, your choice. Go to johnfredericksradio.com right now and take the poll.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Tom Pappert on our Zoom newsbreaker line. Tom, it's time for the illegal alien deportation update. You've got a breaking story here. I saw you pitch it, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. Let's start with the, quote, Colombia-born illegal alien, quote, Nashville journalist, Estefany Rodriguez Flores. Tell us, she's been detained. She's out of custody, but tell us what you found out.
Well, Michael, we've been following this $10,000 bond she was assigned. ICE put in a notice they might appeal. They decided against appealing, so she paid it last week, or at least her lawyers did. And as part of that bond, her conditions for release were that she had to give up her Colombian passport. She also had to give up her real ID. That's, of course, the novel form of federal identification distributed through state Department of Motor Vehicles, etc., that allows a person to fly in an airplane, go to a military base, etc. And it's especially noteworthy because Tennessee, since 2004, has had laws on the books that specifically keep illegal aliens from receiving driver's licenses. But Michael, I think this case exposed a massive, unprecedented loophole in Tennessee's law because this young lady, Estefany Rodriguez Flores, is considered a deportable alien by the Trump administration, by ICE. She has a pending asylum application. It has not been granted. She has a pending status adjustment. It has not been granted. Essentially, she has overstayed a visa now for 5 years in our country. That is the case of the federal government. Well, in Tennessee, because she has filed that asylum petition and because she has this pending status adjustment, the law actually has a carve-out that allows her to obtain a real ID and driver's license. So I think that the wonderful listeners we have in the General Assembly should really consider using this as a lesson. Yes, this young woman may not be your typical illegal alien criminal. However, others could definitely use this same exact loophole to obtain a driver's license in Tennessee, despite a 22-year-old law preventing it.
So the law is, if you're an illegal alien, you can't get a driver's license, except, now her case is, a little different in the sense that she applied for asylum within 1 year. That was in 2021. That has finally, after 4.5 years, it's coming forward to being addressed. She also got a work permit. And I guess, how could you have a work permit and not a driver's? I suppose you could. Right. What is the trigger that allowed her to get the driver's license here? Was it the asylum application? Was it the work permit? What was it?
Well, it seems Tennessee has a different definition of legal than the United States federal government and ICE. And it was specifically that she had filed, as far as I can tell, we don't know what they said down at the DMV, but reading the law, as far as I can tell, what happened is she had this asylum petition that allowed her to obtain the work permit, and that is what allowed her to convince the state of Tennessee that she was a legal resident of the United States, not the case in the eyes of the federal government.
So did the DMV follow the state law, or did they violate the state law?
It seems to me the state law has a loophole because merely having a work permit, Michael, as you know, as we all know, our listeners, we've all been following illegal immigration for over a decade now. If you're a supporter of President Trump, we all know that a work permit does not necessarily signify legal status. And that seems to be the problem. In Tennessee, when it comes to the driver's license, it does. It does not in any other situation.
That is crazy. All right, let's go to Maryland man, illegal alien Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who's received well over $20 million is our best guess of legal fees from high-end big law firms. The federal government wants to deport him to where?
Well, Michael, he is going to Liberia. That is the latest arguments on behalf of the federal government. And really, they've been trying to send him to Liberia, for those playing at home, since October of last year. But if you'll recall, the Obama-appointed judge, Paula Zinnes, issued an injunction on February 17th, formally blocking ICE from detaining him, arguing that there is no way they have a plan to deport him because the only place they could deport him is Costa Rica. Well, essentially, what the Trump administration has done is they said, we're denying your request to be removed to Costa Rica because you should have filed that back in 2019, Mr. Abrego Garcia, back when your immigration case was before an immigration judge. With the Costa Rica designation now tossed out, they have gone to this Obama-appointed judge and said, we are giving you until April 17th to dissolve this order. If you do not dissolve this order, we will appeal it the following day. They have until April 18th to appeal this decision. This was actually really spectacular, in my opinion, legal filing that we saw from the Trump administration late last week. They're hanging this left-wing judge by her own petard, and at this point, I think she has no choice. She is going to be off the Abrego Garcia case by the end of next month.
Really? What would she, if she were to talk to Mark Elias on the left, what advice would he give her?
Well, I think the best case for her client, who in my opinion is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, not
a judge
the
with
American
a client, right? Yeah, I got it.
Right.
We got 1 minute here, Tom.
I think her best case would be to totally deny the Trump administration's request and force them to go to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals and then hope you get a Hail Mary. Hope you get some left-wing appellate judges. I don't think it's going to work. This will go to the Supreme Court if it has to.
And on that note, Tom Peppert, great work. Really appreciate it. And we'll be keeping us updated on the questions surrounding the improbable pickleball death of our good friend, Jeff Webb. Tom, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Michael.
Up next, the one, the only Misrule of Law author, Mark Pulliam, back after this.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Gempapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com, HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
President Trump is already transforming Washington, D.C., making it the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful city in the world. But we need fighters on the ground to keep it going. I'm John Fredericks, and I'm running for chairman of D.C. GOP Ward 2 to make sure Trump's vision for this city becomes a reality. Safe streets, clean neighborhoods, and yes, rat-free. Go to MakeDCGreat.com. That's MakeDCGreat.com right now and send a donation. Let's finish what President Trump started. Donation limit $200. I'm John Fredericks, and I paid for this ad.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFB Portsmouth, part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump is holding off on his initial threat to obliterate Iranian power plants. White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
Over the weekend, the president set a Monday deadline for Iran to fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz to international shipping. But in a morning social media post, he said U.S.-Iranian talks are underway and that he was extending his deadline by 5 days. The president wrote that talks to end the war would continue throughout the week.
And the president insists the U.S. is not giving an inch in its demand.
We're looking for all of the things that we've been talking about. We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it, low-key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. We want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that. And I think we're going to get that. We've agreed to that. Yeah, we've agreed to that.
You want the enriched uranium before you can end this?
We want no enrichment, but we also want the enriched uranium.
2 pilots are dead following a crash last night on a runway at New York's LaGuardia Airport. The airport is closed. An Air Canada regional jet had just landed from Montreal when it crashed into a fire truck, crushing the plane's nose. Port Authority Executive Director Catherine Garcia says dozens of people were hurt.
Initial numbers indicate that 41 passengers and crew were transported to the hospital, as well as the ARF officers. At this time, we understand that 32 have been released, but there are also serious injuries.
The audio from WABC TV and the National Transportation Safety Board is among the agencies investigating that deadly crash at LaGuardia. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 997 points. The Nasdaq ahead 459, and the S&P trading 128 points higher. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
The head of the International Energy Agency says global economy is facing a major threat because of the Iran war.
Fatih Birol has been at the center of efforts to keep supplies of oil and gas flowing around the world. About 1/5 of the world's oil and gas is transported through the Strait of Hormuz, and the Asia-Pacific region is particularly reliant on these supplies. As a sign of nervousness about the possible escalation of the war, stock markets in Asia have fallen. The Kospi in South Korea was down more than 5% in early trading. Japan's Nikkei just under 5%.
And that's a BBC's Maura Fogarty. Italy's Conservative Premier Giorgia Meloni is facing a pivotal political test. Comes in the form of a 2-day referendum dealing with judicial reform. The vote began yesterday. It has transformed into a broader judgment on her leadership both at home in Italy and in foreign affairs. News and analysis at townhall.com. Well, once again, the NCAA tournament is producing upsets and results that no one can predict.
No perfect men's NCAA tournament brackets remain among the millions of entries in the ESPN Bracket Challenge and in contests tracked on the NCAA's official website. The end came when number 6 Tennessee beat number 3 seed Virginia in the 44th game of the tournament. Sunday started with 2 perfect brackets left in the ESPN contest and 4 on the NCAA's official website, which tracks the ESPN Challenge along with 6 contests run by other outlets. ESPN had 26.5 million entries and 36 million were tracked by the NCAA website. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The Supreme Court is taking up a case out of Mississippi over whether states can count mail-in ballots that arrive late. The outcome of the case could affect voters in 14 states and D.C. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. It's hour 2 of the program, which means it's time for the very best retired attorney in the world. Our good friend, the author of the blog Misrule of Law, graduate of the University of Texas Law School. I keep trying to drag him back. He keeps saying, I'll just show up on your show, which is great with us. The one, the only, Mark Pulliam. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're going to give Chief Justice John Roberts a hard time, and he deserves a hard time. Tell us why.
Well, so Chief Justice John Roberts was appointed by President George W. Bush in 2005. He is, as Chief Justice of the United States, not only the presiding officer of the 9-member Supreme Court, he's also sort of the captain of the federal judiciary. He's the public face of the judiciary. He does an annual State of the Judiciary address. He is the person who testifies in front of Congress for the federal judiciary budget. And from time to time, he makes public statements concerning the judiciary. And he got in the news this last week, sticking up for the judges in response to various criticisms, not directly made by President Trump, but the sort of the inference is that he doesn't like those kinds of criticisms, and we'll get to that in a minute. But just for your viewers, and you mentioned it in the previous hour, that this is not the first time he's defended the judiciary. And in 2018, when in President Trump's first term, President Trump had specifically complained about a ruling by an Obama-appointed judge in San Francisco, a fellow by the name of John Tiger, who took Trump's reforms to the asylum process and put him on hold, said you can't do that. And President Trump was very outspoken and said this was a partisan ruling by an Obama judge. And John Roberts was very quick to take exception to that, and he issued a public statement rebuking President Trump, and he said, quote, "We do not have Obama judges or Trump judges, Bush judges or Clinton judges. What we have is an extraordinary group of dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal right to those appearing before them." And a lot of people listened to that and said, you know, that's crazy, but we sort of get why you're doing it because you are the Chief Justice. Now, in hindsight, that is remarkably tone deaf, and because we've now seen this tidal wave of judicial insurrection in Trump's second term, and also if you go back and look at John Tiger, that he's not a judge doing his level best to do, follow the law. In fact, John Tiger is the son of a radical activist, Michael Tiger, and one of John Tiger's other rulings after he got appointed by Obama to the federal bench is he pioneered the activism around the Eighth Amendment. So you have male prisoners who've in some cases committed sex crimes against women who are in a male prison who decide, you know what, it would be better to be in a female prison. And so they pretend like they're female. They go to court and say, I have gender dysphoria, and I have to be put in a female prison, and it would be a violation of the 8th Amendment for you to keep me in a male prison. And John Tiger is one of these people who went along with that and allowed males to be imprisoned in a female prison.
And what happened?
Well, none of these specific cases that he was. Oftentimes, when this happens, these supposedly female prisoners end up preying on the female prisoners that they're locked up with. He went further in another case and said that if you had a male prisoner who was pretending to be a woman and is willing to go so far as to say, I want a sex change operation, John Tiger said that you're entitled to that under the 8th Amendment. It would be cruel and unusual punishment not to force the taxpayers to pay for this costly $100,000 plus surgery. So anyway, he was a nut. President Trump called him out as a nut, and John Roberts defended this nut. Okay, fast forward to President Trump's second term. That now we have this tidal wave of rogue judges.
Biden judges at the trial court level.
Biden and Obama judges, and in some cases, some senile Reagan-appointed judges who just have turned it over to their clerks. And so people have been complaining about these rulings. And so in an interview at a conference down in Houston.
But at the Baker Institute, named after James Baker at Rice University.
He said that it's dangerous to direct personal criticism at judges, that judges around the country work very hard to get it right. And if they don't, their opinions are subject to criticism. The problem sometimes is that the criticism can move from a focus on legal analysis to personalities. And you see, it's more directed in a personal way, and that, frankly, can be quite dangerous. And so this idea that when a crazy judge makes a crazy ruling, we're limited to questioning the legal reasoning of the ruling rather than calling out the person that issued the ruling. That's absurd.
It's beyond absurd. John Roberts has many good qualities, but connecting to reality is not one of them. Let's be blunt. We are in a crisis, and the crisis is Biden and Obama have appointed judges, and they've been confirmed by the weak Senate, right, at the trial court level, at the federal district court level, who despise America and despise the Constitution. And John Roberts is afraid to recognize that.
Well, and one of the reasons he's out of touch with what's going on in the real world is that he has spent his entire professional career inside the Beltway.
Yeah.
And he has a very establishment background, and don't take this personally.
No, go ahead, please.
He's a double Harvard guy, Harvard undergrad, Harvard Law School. And
well, I've met him briefly.
Okay.
You knew that?
No, I didn't know that.
I'll tell you the story. I've told it before. Patrick's heard it. But I'll go ahead and tell it. So, freshman year at Harvard.
You're a contemporary?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Even more.
Okay.
I thought I told you this, but
No.
I'll tell you right now. So, you all live in freshman dorms in the yard, sort of the main area of the campus. I was in Strauss Hall in D entry, and there were basically 8 suites, right? I was on the 4th floor. I just had one roommate. John Roberts was on the 2nd floor. He had 2 roommates. And so I didn't know him very well. But look, picture this. So I stroll into Harvard, having never been there, from a little town in upstate New York, with my Prince Valiant haircut, my Fu Manchu,
oh boy,
my white belt, my double knit pants, and my white shoes.
Ready for the disco.
And I step in, and I'm going to be the President of the United States, right? So I'm making friends with everybody, unaware of the impact of the Prince Valiant haircut and the Fu Manchu, right? And football player, the whole thing. And so I go in, and I'm talking to everybody. And one day I go up on the 2nd floor. As I'm walking up to my room, there's John Roberts. Nice guy, and very preppy, right? Very preppy, very understated. Hey, John, how are you doing? I'm Mike, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, John, what do you want to do? Right? And he said, this is what it's true. He said, I want to be a good attorney. I said, great. what do you want to do, Mike? And I thought it would be too presumptuous to say I want to be president of the United States. So I toned it down. I said, well, John, I want to be the next great social theorist. He said, okay. He did okay as an attorney. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
He's a nice fellow.
Yeah.
He graduated in 3 years. So he's a sharp guy.
Yeah.
But he is an institutionalist. And on this case of the judges, he's dead wrong.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with the Chief Justice wanting to maintain the public perception of the judiciary, but you don't do it by trying to censor criticism. You do it by winnowing out the bad apples and making the public want to admire the judiciary.
With that, we'll be back with more Mark Pulliam.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are a $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, which has been clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
And they gave me a curveball question. Price of oil is $88 today. I said, it's a temporary thing, but I have something to inform you. And I'm going to say it very slowly. Under President Biden, the price of oil was $80, $90, $100 for 4 years. Under President Trump, maybe it's going to be $80 for 1 month.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Did I say it slowly enough to everybody understand?
I love that.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just 1 local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
This is State Senator Mark Pouty. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pouty.
paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Our guest in studio, the one, the only, Mark Pulliam. Mark, rogue judges are now being criticized by well-respected constitutional law professors.
Yeah, it's not just grumpy MAGA loyalists like me that, and I welcome the company. So in light of this latest pronouncement from John Roberts, he's gotten abuse from many different quarters.
And let me just interject, well-deserved abuse.
Well-deserved abuse. So one was Georgetown law professor Randy Barnett.
Our friend, by the way, just so you know, because I've known Randy Barnett since 2009, started the Tea Party movement, interviewed him many times. We have coming out from our new podcast series, Michael Patrick Leahy Interviews. We're doing the one with James Rosen. We did one with Andy Ogles. And we did an hour-long podcast interview that'll be up next week or so with Randy on his new book, Felony Review. He went from Harvard Law School to being an assistant district attorney in Cook County, Chicago for 4 years. How about that?
Oh, he's from Chicago, so
yeah.
That kind of makes sense. So Barnett is a very well-respected constitutional law scholar at Georgetown. He's got a libertarian bent. He was not known as being a MAGA loyalist. I would not be surprised if in 2016 he was a never-Trumper. But he pays attention to what's going on in the legal world, and he is as aghast as we are about this judicial insurrection. And when Roberts came out and was doing all this happy talk about how all these judges are just in good faith trying to do the right thing, he posted on X, quote, "District court judges have made themselves a threat to the republic and the peaceful transfer of power by elections," close quote. That's some pretty tough talk.
It's also true.
It's true, but for a guy who teaches at Georgetown, which is a very liberal school, in the middle of the abyss that, the morass of Washington, D.C.
Well, I'll tell you, he's totally in the middle of it because Georgetown Law School is like right next to the Capitol. I've been to, he lives right in the DuPont Circle area. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's right there.
He's behind enemy lines.
Yeah.
And so in response to that, University of Tennessee law professor Glenn Reynolds, the publisher of Instapundit, agreed with Barnett and posted on Instapundit, quote, "If Roberts doesn't wish to preside,
it should be preside
over the dissolution of Article 3, he needs to do something about the politicization of the judiciary, not complain about the people pointing it out," close quote. So that's some tough talk. Glenn Reynolds has also got a little bit of a libertarian bent, and he's a mainstream legal scholar. In the Federalist, they came out with an article, and the headline tells the story, quote, "Roberts is more bothered by Trump's attacks on judges than judges' attacks on the Constitution."
One of the great headlines ever.
Yeah, and if I were him, I would feel some pain. When I read that, I went, ouch. Now, we've talked about this insurrection by the rogue judges almost every week for the last year, but just in the last couple of weeks, let's just recap some of what's happened. Judge Boasberg, the Obama appointee who from the time that Trump was sworn in has been on a vendetta to overrule as many Trump 2.0 policies as possible, has quashed grand jury subpoenas that were obtained by U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro to investigate what's going on at the Federal Reserve, where Jerome Powell is presiding over a multi-billion-dollar renovation of the central bank, which is way
over budget.
Way over budget. And so reasonably, she wants to know what's going on. Is there some problem? Is there some dishonesty, whatever it is?
Well, look, think about it. The Federal Reserve, that's taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if it's being overspent, if fraud's involved, the U.S. Attorney of Columbia absolutely has the right to investigate it.
So Boasberg did what the judge in the Abrego-Garcia case is thinking about doing, which is to say, well, geez, if I don't like the motive of the prosecutor, I'm going to protect the criminal, ignoring whatever the facts are, whether it leads to criminality or not. And this is just an investigation. It's not a charge. Anyway, everybody agreed that this was nearly unprecedented for a federal judge to intervene in a grand jury investigation and quash a subpoena. So he's on the warpath again. Now, another case, a Biden-appointed judge.
Biden appointee.
In Massachusetts, Brian Murphy, and this is not his first rodeo.
Yeah.
He's been reversed and overturned by both the Supreme Court and the First Circuit, which is a challenge since every single judge on the First Circuit is a Democrat left-wing judge. So you get overturned by them, you've really done something wrong. He enjoined the Department of Health and Human Services, that is RFK Jr., his childhood vaccine policy, and blocked the replacement of advisory committee on immunization practice members. So this is just meddling in the executive branch, second-guessing decisions made by President Trump's cabinet members. That Murphy does not try to conceal his antipathy for Trump 2.0. He's a disgrace to the bench, and he's an embarrassment. If I were John Roberts, it would make me mad that this guy is making the Article 3 look bad.
But you are not John Roberts.
I'm not. And then
John Roberts doesn't look at it that way.
No, he reads the Washington Post, and as long as they are friendly toward him,
New York Times and Washington Post.
In New York, yeah. Now, in D.C., there's an 82-year-old Reagan appointee named Royce Lamberth. Now, when you're 82 and you're on senior status, I think it's a fair assumption that you're pretty much checked out.
You're coasting.
Who's
running the show?
You've turned your reins over to your cadre of law clerks who are basically recent law school graduates.
They're lefties then.
Freshly indoctrinated, and they're looking for a chance to get their hands on the levers of power.
Right.
And when they can write a decision and put it in front of the judge, get the judge to sign it, that's all the power they could want. So in a 34-page decision, Judge Lamberth found that President Trump's appointment of Kari Lake to head the Voice of America program was unlawful, and that President Trump's decision to reduce the operations of the Voice of America to the minimum presence and function required by law with all the commensurate cuts in contractors and agency personnel was arbitrary and capricious. This is meddling with the policy decisions of the executive branch. Lamberth is totally out of bounds.
That'll be overturned.
I think most of these will be
That'll be overturned. Maybe not in the district court, but by the Supreme Court.
But these things take time.
Yeah.
And they drain a lot of resources from the Department of Justice. How many lawyers does Pam Bondi have that do nothing but appeal these frivolous decisions? That's a waste of our money, and it's a distraction.
It's got to be done. But here's one. This Muslim judge, Zahid Qureshi. Why do we have Muslim judges?
I don't know.
No, seriously.
I don't know.
I mean,
he was appointed by Biden. That's why.
What's his loyalty? And where was he born? Is he born in America or not? But anyways, let's keep rolling on this guy. What's Zahid Qureshi up to?
Well, so he threw a tantrum. So he's in New Jersey. New Jersey is one of these jurisdictions where most of the judges are liberal Democrats, and where, because it's a blue state, President Trump has been unable to get his hand-picked U.S. attorneys confirmed. And one of those U.S. handpicked was Alina Habba. And so he nominated her. She served for 120 days. And under federal law, if you're not confirmed within 120 days, then the district judges in that district get to pick who will be the U.S. attorney. And so Alina Habba left that job. She's been critical of the judges in New Jersey. And so he, at a hearing, threw the federal prosecutors out of the courtroom because he does not like the fact that Alina Habba still is floating around in the Department of Justice. And this is part of the resistance by blue slip, where President Trump's selections for U.S. attorney are denied Senate confirmation hearings and are unable to serve. And this is not just in New Jersey. The same thing has happened in the Eastern District of Virginia, which is what resulted in the dismissal of the indictments against Comey and that crazy attorney general from New York,
Letitia
James. And it's happened in Los Angeles, Nevada, and now it's even happening in Utah. And when you have National Review, which is no fan of President Trump, write an article called "A Judicial Coup in Utah," you know that these judges are seriously off the reservation. And our friend in Minneapolis, Jeffrey Bryan, who was another Biden appointee. We talked about him last week, where he was going to throw the U.S. attorney in jail because of missing shoelaces. Well, he had been asked to recuse himself because his wife is the Solicitor General of Minnesota, handpicked by Keith Ellison, and she's responsible for the lawsuit against the Trump administration to declare the ICE Operation Metro Surge to be unlawful. So he's married to an anti-Trump activist, and he refuses to recuse himself from cases involving ICE. And then,
that fails the front page test.
And he'll be reversed by the 8th Circuit, but this is an enormous wrench in the works, which is exactly why they're doing. This is what they've had to resort to instead of impeachment to try to tie President Trump up.
When we come back, Plyler v. Doe. What is it, and why do we want to get rid of it? Back with Mark Pulliam after this.
Folks, this is Crime Carmichael, CEO of Solti. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Solti. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Solti for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Solti. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
President Trump is already transforming Washington, D.C., making it the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful city in the world. But we need fighters on the ground to keep it going. I'm John Fredericks, and I'm running for chairman of D.C. GOP Ward 2 to make sure Trump's vision for this city becomes a reality. Safe streets, clean neighborhoods, and yes, rat-free. Go to MakeDCGreat.com. That's MakeDCGreat.com right now and send a donation. Let's finish what President Trump started. Donation limit $200. I'm John Fredericks, and I paid for this ad.
When you're learning something new, experience matters. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we've spent over 30 years teaching people how real estate investing works and how to build income with a clear, step-by-step strategy. Our program is designed to help you learn what to do, why it works, and how to take action at your own pace. Join today for just $297, a 60% savings off the regular price. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned. in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall and Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, legal scholar, good friend, Mark Pulliam. Mark, what is Plyler v. Doe, and why should we care?
Well, let me tell you why we should care. That illegal immigration has become a huge problem that everybody in the country recognizes as a result of Joe Biden just opening up our borders for 4 years. But prior to that, illegal immigration has been a problem that's been prominent in border states like Texas and California starting in the 70s and 80s. Now, people in Tennessee might wonder, if illegal aliens are in the country illegally, why are we required to enroll them in public schools at taxpayer expense and provide them with a K through 12 education, particularly in some jurisdictions where they comprise a majority of the students, and you have bilingual, you have 10 or 12 or 20 different languages.
In Nashville, you have like 75 different languages. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And so some people in the General Assembly are saying, well, we're going to put an end to that. We're going to either stop it altogether or we're going to start tracking who's illegal and who's not. And there's been a bunch of commotion in the General Assembly. The Democrats are challenging these bills and criticizing them, saying, why are you picking on the poor illegal aliens? Because after all, they're in love with the illegal aliens. And you have some conservatives saying, why are you pulling your punches and saying you're only going to keep track of anonymous head counts without actually barring them altogether? Well, the reason we can't just kick them out of public schools is because of a Supreme Court decision that was issued in 1982 called Plyler v. Doe. It was a 5-4 decision.
Very close. And by the way, the court in 1982 was definitely a living Constitution leftist court.
And not a single member of that court is still sitting on the court. And so it was written by Bill Brennan, the most notorious liberal justice of the modern era.
Let's just talk about Bill Brennan for a moment. A very influential judge, but influential because he was like an old-style precinct boss in the way he got votes.
Yeah.
He famously said, he put his fingers together and in a conference with the Supreme Court justice and say, I just need 5.
Yeah.
I just need 5.
Yeah.
He was a deal maker, and he was not. He was the exact opposite of an originalist or a textualist when it comes to understanding the Constitution and what it means.
And he was a charming Irish Paul from New Jersey, and he could get along with everybody, and he could smile and had a twinkle in his eye, even as he pursued this very aggressive leftist agenda.
Exactly.
And so this decision, Plyler v. Doe, is as full of error as Roe versus Wade, yet it has received very little criticism, at least compared to Roe versus Wade. And so what was this decision? So it arose out of a law that was passed in Texas in 1975 that would have prohibited the use of state funds for the education of children who had not been admitted legally to the United States. This state law was challenged by the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, MALDEF, which is basically the Hispanic counterpart to the NAACP. The challenge was brought as a class action in a forum-shopped federal court case before the famously left-wing activist William Wayne Justice in Tyler, Texas. So the MALDEF picked Tyler, Texas, this obscure small town in East Texas, to challenge a state law, and Justice delivered exactly what they hoped he would deliver, which is he struck the law down. And then it percolated its way up to the Supreme Court. Now, let me just parenthetically say, William Wayne Justice at the time was like the craziest left-wing activist in the United States and was criticized by conservatives for that reason. Yet, he was also an object lesson of what all Democratic judges could aspire to. And sadly, we have now reached a state where almost every one of Joe Biden's appointees to the federal bench is exactly as left-wing and exactly as activist as this crazy William Wayne Justice was long ago. So the case made it to the Supreme Court, and by a 5-4 ruling, they ruled that even though being an illegal alien and discriminating against illegal aliens is not a suspect classification by itself, and even though the right to a public education is not a fundamental right, that those are the two characteristics that under modern equal protection analysis takes you out of the rational basis test, which basically any ordinary reason a legislature could come up with is sufficient to justify law, and falls into the compelling state interest, which is compelling in theory but fatal in fact. And the Supreme Court said there's simply not enough evidence in the record that Texas has a financial burden that would rise to the level of a compelling state interest. So they say that the law was invalid and that henceforth it would take a compelling state interest in order to deny children, illegal alien children, of their right to a free public education. Now, this decision said in a footnote that, quote, the claim that the educational resources of the state are so direly limited that some form of educational triage might be deemed reasonable, assuming that is a permissible response to the state's problem. Okay, so what that means is this was 50 years ago that Texas passed this law. I don't know how many, probably at least 10 million or more, 10, 20, 30 million more illegal aliens have entered the country since then. And, they are very, they have a high fertility rate. And so I would presume that we are spending hundreds of billions of dollars a year collectively educating illegal aliens in our schools.
And providing English as a second language to them.
Yeah. So this is ripe to be revisited. California tried to get this case, Playa Vido, back in the Supreme Court in 1994 with Prop 187, but there was some political and judicial hijinks that thwarted that. And so what our General Assembly is trying to do is to lay the groundwork to either challenge the law directly or to make a case that Jonathan Skrmetti can go to the Supreme Court with and say, we have a compelling state interest to not fund K through 12 education of illegal aliens. And
this is 44 years of economic disaster for public schools.
And we need to recognize that free K through 12 education is a giant magnet for illegal immigration. It might be the greatest magnet for illegal immigration. Yeah. So I think that the collection of data authorized by proposed legislation in Tennessee is a sensible first step to a legal challenge to Playa Vido, and I hope the General Assembly passes this law, and I hope that people will start talking about, we've talked about, we overruled Chevron, we overruled Roe versus Wade. We ought to be talking about what is the list of decisions, bad, incorrectly decided decisions that need to be reversed, and Playa Vido, in my judgment, is at the top of that list.
The very top of the list. And if you look at it, this is the weird thing about law. There are many weird things about it. But, once a Supreme Court decision is made, that ruling becomes, as I say, black letter law until it is overturned. These major precedents are rarely overturned, but when they are, what's the doctrine, stare decisis, right? That where you go with precedent.
Yeah.
But occasionally you overturn it. They overturned Roe v. Wade.
But the Supreme Court doesn't overrule precedents normally all in one swoop. They take a couple incrementally. And so that's why the General Assembly needs to pass these laws, and they need to be challenged because we need to get a series of cases before the Supreme Court. This is a noose around America's neck, in my opinion.
It's a good point, because Roe v. Wade, there was Casey v. Planned Parenthood in 92, where Scalia had a dissent.
Right.
Which, by the way, when they got to overturning Roe v. Wade, was that intervening case kind of led the way for the majority decision.
And if Tennesseans knew how much it was costing them in taxpayer funds to educate all these illegal aliens, I think there would be an outcry. There would be an outrage, and there should be. But we're not going to know this until we do the math and do a head count, and then we can kind of put this case in front of the public, and I think we'd be astonished at the reaction we'll get.
Yeah, and back to that theme, right, in terms of understanding, if you look at our budget deficit as a country, how much of it is because of we're paying illegal aliens legally, as is the case here in Plyler v. Doe, for an education, but also they're getting away with tons of fraud. I mean, the president just said, if we got rid of all the illegal alien welfare fraud and healthcare fraud, we'd probably get rid of the deficit. I think that actually might be pretty close to true.
Yeah, well, it's a phenomenal amount of money, and whether it would cut the deficit or not, we need to not waste money. This is a waste of money, not just a waste of money. By educating these illegal alien children, you are attracting more and more and more of them. So this is, this is national suicide.
And it was very narrowly decided, 5-4. The dissent, Justice Berger, Byron White, a common sense guy, although appointed by Kennedy, Rehnquist, very common sense, Senator Day O'Connor. The majority, William Brennan, the ultimate political ward boss, who used those political skills to advance the living Constitution. Thurgood Marshall, very liberal. Harry Blackmun, who, wouldn't know an originalist test if it hit him in the head, the guy that concocted Roe v. Wade. And then, John Paul Stevens.
Yeah.
And Lewis Powell. Lewis Powell's the only one who's kind of a big disappointment.
So even in terms of the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause jurisprudence that was in effect at the time, which, as you say, was inspired the living Constitution, it still didn't make sense. Doctrinally, the decision has always been gibberish. And now that we're in an originalist world, it's a gibberish on steroids. So
gibberish on steroids.
I think it's just calling out to be reversed. We just need to get a case in front of the Supreme Court, and that's what the General Assembly is trying to do.
Yeah, I think this will result in a court challenge from the left, and it will probably percolate up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this: the Tennessee General Assembly and Jonathan Skrmetti, our Attorney General, have a pretty darn good track record when it comes to Supreme Court decisions.
Yeah. So one of the people criticizing the General Assembly was the Federalists, saying, well, why don't you just ban them altogether? I think in something like this, you need to
incrementally move.
You need to do your homework. First, we need to figure out how many illegal aliens we have enrolled in our schools, and figure out how much it's costing, and then you start.
You've got the argument against it.
You got the argument against it.
Mark Pulliam, when we come back, birthright citizenship. And we're back to that 14th Amendment again. Back with Mark Pulliam after this.
Ponder this. Imagine for a moment that you are lying on your deathbed. This is a great exercise to do each day in preparation for your very last day on earth. Think about the tests you've ever taken, the job interviews you've had, and the many life celebrations you've been a part of. In all of these cases, preparation makes for successful outcomes. The same is true for dying. We must prepare every day for the day we are to die, in case today might be our last. Make sure you are right with the Lord first and foremost. If you are a Catholic, make sure you are in the state of grace by receiving the sacrament of confession often. Next, make sure you are right with your family, friends, and all those who are in your world. Apologize to those who have offended you and mend relationships that need healing. Make each day a preparation for your last day on earth, because it just may be. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
What if you had a plan to build income outside your job? At Lifestyles Unlimited, you'll learn how people are investing in real estate to grow their income and make smarter financial choices one property at a time. Right now, join us for just $297. That's a savings of $443 off our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
All right, folks, I need you to do something right now. Go to johnfredericksradio.com and take our brand new 2028 Republican presidential straw poll. Who do you want leading the ticket? Don't let the elites decide. Make your voice heard. While you're there, weigh in on two huge issues: eminent domain reform and President Trump's tariff policies. Are they protecting American workers or hurting growth? This is your movement, your vote, your voice, your choice. Go to johnfredericksradio.com right now and take the poll.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We're back with Mark Pulliam. The 14th Amendment, ratified right after the Civil War, very significant. It, in essence, has been interpreted to apply the Bill of Rights to state governments. Very important. But also, I don't know, should you trust an amendment that has so many words and so many clauses in it?
Well, there's a lot of words in the Constitution, and they haven't all been interpreted with mischief. But the 14th Amendment has been interpreted with lots and lots of mischief. And in particular, the equal protection and due process clauses, that's where this incorporation came from. That's where a lot of the judicial activism of the Warren Court and the Berger Court came through the equal protection and due process clauses. But the situation that has surfaced lately is the citizenship clause in Section 1 of the 14th Amendment. We've talked about this before. And it reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. And that has been interpreted going back to the late 1800s without a lot of rigor to mean that if you are born in the United States, regardless of who your parents are or how they got there or what their citizenship status is, being born in the United States automatically confers upon you U.S. citizenship. That's the term birthright citizenship. And we lived in a living Constitution world where, the certain assumptions were made and never revisited, and that was one of those assumptions. Well, President Trump, when he decided to run for president in 2015, one of the first things he came out and said is, I disagree with birthright citizenship, and if elected president, I'm going to do something about it. And that immediately took him from being a novelty, the celebrity apprentice host, to being the front runner in the GOP field, and he decimated the who's who, the top Republican politicians of the day in the primaries, because people wanted to hear tough, true talk. I wrote about this in 2015, defending and supporting President Trump's position on birthright citizenship, and got a lot of pushback from center-right scholars who hadn't yet sort of gotten on board with the Trump train. And but as a result of the success of his administration, the abject failure of Biden's 4 years in office with the opening of the borders, which put us in an existential crisis. We were this close, I think, to being extinguished as a country, that a lot of people have woken up and decided, you know what, we need to. And then also the ongoing rise of originalism. People are going back and looking at the words of the 14th Amendment and the deliberations of the 39th Congress, which is the Congress that proposed this. What were they trying to get at? And what they were trying to get at was not to give citizenship to any trespasser who managed to sneak their way into the United States and deliver a child, but was to give legal rights to slaves as a result of the successful conclusion of the Civil War and the eradication of involuntary servitude in the 13th Amendment. And in order to do that, they needed to overturn Dred v. Scott, the Dred Scott case, which said basically that slaves are not entitled to citizenship under a constitution. So in order to give them citizenship, they needed to do something about it. And so a whole new generation of legal scholars has begun looking at this. And a couple of the examples are Kurt Lash, who teaches at the University of Richmond, and then there's a fellow named Elon Werman, who is now at the University of Minnesota. And they both have written law review articles that have just come out. Some of them are just now, the ink is still damp on them. And because President Trump issued this executive order saying, birthright citizenship is no longer the law, that's now in court. Trump v. Barber, the Supreme Court has granted a hearing in that case. It's in the process of being briefed. And so our Solicitor General, and this is the attorney in the Department of Justice who's responsible for making all the legal arguments in the Supreme Court on behalf of the United States, his name is John Sauer, wrote a reply brief which just was filed. I linked to it in my blog post, which went up yesterday. And in this reply brief, he cites this recent scholarship by Kurt Lash. He cites the recent scholarship by Elon Werman. And these new originalist legal scholars have gone into much greater depth. Now, they're not the first people to reach the correct decision on this that coincides with President Trump's opinion. That John Eastman and some of his colleagues at the Claremont Institute have been saying this going back into the 80s. But for a long time, John Eastman was regarded as an outlier. Like, okay, he takes this position, but he's like the only person that says it. But now,
where will this go? We got 60 seconds.
Where will it go? Well, I think it's still a long shot, but I think there's a possibility that the Supreme Court will look at this new wave of scholarship and will decide that correctly interpreted, this first Section 1 of the 14th Amendment does not give automatic citizenship to children born illegal aliens.
That would be the correct interpretation.
Yep.
And on that note, we'll see how they decide.
All right.
Mark Pulliam, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for
Always
having
fun.
me.
All right, we'll have more when we get back. We got the Department of Homeland Security shut down. We got craziness in Iran and more. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
And they gave me a curveball question. Price of oil is $88 today. I said, it's a temporary thing, but I have something to inform you. And I'm going to say it very slowly. Under President Biden, the price of oil was $80, $90, Years under President Trump, maybe it's going to be $80 for 1 month.
Katz and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Did I say it slowly enough to everybody understand?
I love that.
The Trump administration has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system, but there's only so much the government can do. And if we really want to make America healthy again, that starts at home, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. The Wellness Company allows you to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits, which contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. The Wellness Company also offers a variety of health products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more, helping you stay healthy and live a longer, better, healthier life. Make America healthy again. That starts at home. So do your part and protect the health of you and your family. All you have to do is go to twc.health/Godzilla today and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10%. That's twc.health/Godzilla.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter.
WENO Nashville, KQPN West Memphis, AM 760, AM 730. The Flame.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump is postponing his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Here's White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
Hours ahead of his original Monday deadline, the president announced that the United States will delay attacks on Iranian power plants for 5 days. In a social media post, he said the two countries have had very good and productive conversations that could yield a complete and total resolution in the war. The president had warned of a strike against Iran's power plants Monday if the Iranians didn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Hi, Punjabi reports oil prices have been changing a lot amid the war.
Oil prices have been up more than 50% since the start of the Iran war. The price of Brent crude, the international standard, is at around $112 a barrel. That's up nearly 55% since Israel and the U.S. started the war with Iran on February 28th.
No country will be immune to the effects of this crisis.
Fatih Birol told Australia's National Press Club that the crisis in the Middle East has had a worse impact on energy markets than the two oil shocks of the 1970s and the Russia-Ukraine war combined.
There was major economic problems around the world, the recessions.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
Even a small de-escalation in tensions was positive news for the markets today. Right now, the Dow is up about 708 points, the Nasdaq up 283. Police in Britain investigating the burning of some ambulances in London as an anti-Semitic hate crime.
Multiple cylinders on the vehicles exploded, causing windows to break in an adjacent block of houses. So says the London Fire Brigade. Officials add no injuries reported, and they brought the fire under control. Authorities say they're investigating the cause of the blaze.
That is Andrew Stewart. More from townhall.com.
Hi, Mike Gallagher here, host of the Mike Gallagher Show. As we head into spring, there's some good news in the housing market. Rates have recently dropped. When rates drop, payments can drop. That can mean hundreds of dollars a month back in your pocket, money you can use to pay bills, reduce debt, or strengthen your financial position. That's why this is the time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. They're helping homeowners refinance into lower rates and reduce their monthly mortgage payments. Fellowship also offers a fixed rate line of credit for home projects or consolidating a high interest debt with fast approval and a predictable rate. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next two mortgage payments. That's 2 months of breathing room while you reposition financially. I've used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Before you make your next move, go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, equal housing lender, NMLS number 819382.
Here's a midday Wall Street business report.
Wall Street shot higher and oil futures tumbled after President Trump extended his deadline for Iran to reopen the crucial Strait of Hormuz. Mr. Trump says the U.S. will hold off on strikes against Iranian power plants and other energy infrastructure for 5 days, pending the outcome of ongoing diplomatic talks between the two sides. The war with Iran has now entered its 4th week. Oil prices reversed course, sinking as much as 10%. Benchmark U.S. crude slid $8.23 to $90 per barrel. Brent crude, the international standard, tumbled $9.02 to $103.17 per barrel. Gold and silver have slumped again. Gold fell 4.4% to $4,374 per ounce. Silver lost 2.9% to $67.67 per ounce. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason.
Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Michael Jordan is no longer a top 5 scorer in NBA history after being leapfrogged over the weekend. Here's correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh.
One of the NBA's greatest modern-day scorers has passed an all-time great. Kevin Durant moved past Michael Jordan for 5th place on the NBA's scoring list. The 37-year-old Durant scored 27 points in Houston's win over the Miami Heat on Saturday night to eclipse Jordan. Durant's corner three with less than 5 minutes remaining gave him 32,294 points, 2 more than Jordan. Durant was the 2nd overall pick in the 2007 draft. The former MVP is a 4-time NBA single-season scoring champion. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The Sweet 16 is set now. Up next in the NCAA tournament, one thing known for sure heading into the second weekend of March Madness, there will be a new national champion. Number 9 Iowa managed to upset number 1 seed Florida. More from Town.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Our phone number, if you want to call in, is 615-814-2848. 615-814-2848. What do we need? We need 3 things from you. Number 1, your name. Number 2, your state of residence. And number 3, your topic. And you can do that very quickly, just 3 things. 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. You can also watch us live and in living color, 3 hours every weekday on my X account. Just go to Michael P. Leahy. You can also watch us on Rumble, on YouTube, on Roku, on Firestick, and Apple TV. How about that? Apple TV. 615-814-2848. Okay, in this segment, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. Democrats are crazy and are trying to destroy the country. You think I'm wrong? Let's hear from a couple Democrats. Here is the mayor of Albany, New York. Now, I think over a half a century, Albany, New York was run. Now, Albany is, it's upstate New York. It's the state capital. And, but the guy who ran, I think the guy's name it's an Irish immigrant who ran the city of Albany with an iron fist for like half a century. His name was Erastus Corning. And, he may have been a little bit crooked, but he also ran the city on a budget that worked, and also basically got the garbage cleaned up, right? Got things done, and so anyways, this guy was mayor of Albany from 1834 to 1837, and then went on beyond that. And he had a grandson that went on, his great-grandsons, Erastus Corning III, basically ran Erastus Corning II. He's the key one I'm talking about here. He was mayor of Albany from 1940 to 1983, 40 years. So when I was growing up in upstate New York, Erastus Corning II ran Albany, and he ran it with an iron fist, hardcore Democrat, but he made sure that, the place operated properly. Well, they have a new mayor, and she has no idea about anything. We'll play a clip from her. You've probably seen it. Here she's talking about how they can handle the debt crisis.
Mayor, looking long term, what structural changes need to happen to prevent Albany from facing similar financial issues again?
That's a great question, and that's why we're pulling together that team, that interdepartmental team that will really go under the hood, open up the cabinets, really get into the weeds on our budget, the process, some of our systems. It is government. There's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of systems, and sometimes those systems do not work. And so you have to get under the hood to first understand what's not working. And so that team in short order will start the process of examining all of those things to then in turn provide me with recommendations on how we improve those systems to prevent something like this from happening moving forward.
What was she saying there? Nothing. Gobbledygook. And I'm sure she probably went to an elite school, but has no common sense. None whatsoever. So there we go. That's the current mayor of Albany. Albany is turned into, like many cities in upstate New York, turned into a bit of a pit. Now, the other thing to point out as to the crookedness and the deception of Democrats, they are not going to hold a vote on the SAVE Act, which is basically you got to be an American citizen to vote. Here is Senator Mike Lee from Utah talking about it. Clip 2.
Americans overwhelmingly believe that voters in the United States, you need to be U.S. citizens. So our bill does two things in order to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. You've got to register. When you register to vote, you need to prove that you are a citizen. And when you show up to vote, you need to show up with a voter ID. It's not too much to ask, as this is one of our most sacred, fundamental rights, and that right will be diluted, distorted, and offset if we allow non-citizens to vote. Now, keep in mind that we're using a playbook that, in a slightly different form, was used in 1964 to overcome a cloture gap of 32 votes, meaning cloture is that's the number of votes that it takes in order to bring debate to a close, a supermajority. They closed the cloture gap of 32 votes in 1964 after debating it for 60 days. I don't know if it'll take this long, but we need a few weeks to debate this. If we can have a few weeks to debate it, that will sharpen the discussion. And members grow exhausted over time, and with that exhaustion, we'll find ways of achieving consensus, perhaps some minor modifications to the legislation, either face-saving or to alleviate substantive concerns. We can get there. This will pass if we give it enough time. The important part is that we debate this for several weeks. I don't know exactly how many weeks, just as they didn't know when they started the process in 1964. I don't think it'll take that long. We've got only a 10-vote cloture deficit to overcome here. This is a simpler bill, and it's preferred by 85% of American voters. So really, time is our only obstacle here. If we put in enough time, I'm confident we will find the consensus we need. We'll get this thing passed.
Well, we'll see. Because if the Democrats today are not like the Southern Democrats of 1964 who opposed civil rights. These Democrats are hardcore, and they are ideologically driven for sort of their authoritarian view of the world. I'm not sure if they will cave over time. And I don't think we see the same kind of public pressure on them that the Southern Democrats would have had in 1964. But we'll see. I mean, it's worth a try, but ultimately, you got to get rid of the filibuster, and you got to get rid of it. That's it. It's not constitutional. It's not. It's part of the Senate rules, and things have changed. The country's in deep danger right now, and the Democrats want to place it in more danger. Speaking of the Democrats, here's an example of the crookedness of the Democrats. Ilhan Omar, the D. Somalia, whose loyalties are to Somalia, whose American citizenship is questionable and hasn't been fully investigated as it should be. Well, she's involved in really what's called a crooked earmark. Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa, had this to say about it. Clip 4.
Covered the other day, and one of our spending bills making its way through Congress was a $1 million earmark from Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, which was an earmark that was supposedly going to a substance abuse clinic, which actually happened to be housed in a restaurant and run by 3 individuals that share the same residential address, according to their IRS paperwork. Tons of red flags. So this is what we saw with the fraud involving the daycare centers. Now we see other earmarks coming directly from members of Congress where it seems fraud is being perpetrated as well. So I raised the issue, and fortunately, the House has now stripped that earmark out of that spending bill. But again, this is how easy money has been flowing to bad actors in Minnesota.
Yeah, of course, that's what they're doing. Fraud, fraud, fraud. All right, when we come back, the shutdown of DHS has had some terrible consequences. We'll talk about that and more when we get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just 1 scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, the DHS shutdown continues. Not being paid TSA agents, even though Elon Musk offered over the weekend to pay them all. I'm not sure the mechanics of that. He made the offer. It was well received. We'll see if that'll actually happen. There might be some, logistic problems with that. We're going to talk about the shutdown here. I have some breaking news I want to talk to you about right now related to that. This from Just the News. The Senate advanced Oklahoma Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin's nomination to be the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, setting up a final vote on Monday to confirm him. The upper chamber voted 54-37 on Sunday to advance Mullin's nomination, setting up a final vote today, Monday. Democratic Senators John Fetterman of Pennsylvania and Martin Heinrich of New Mexico crossed party lines and voted to advance Mullin's nomination. Now, it's interesting. Let's see. Heinrich said the following. He considers Mullin a friend, and they've had a, quote, very honest and constructive working relationship. Quote, I've also seen firsthand that Markwayne is not someone who can simply be bullied into changing his views, and I look forward to having a secretary who doesn't take their orders from Stephen Miller. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Interesting. Mullin suggested that he would be making some policy changes at the DHS in his hearings. My goal is at 6 months is that we're not in the lead story every single day. He will take over DHS while it's in the midst of a weeks-long shutdown after congressional Democrats refused to pass a bill to fund it unless immigration enforcement changes are made. And, of course, there were 2 people killed in Minneapolis from ICE enforcement. And, of course, that was not a simple case. Neither one of them were simple cases in terms of those deaths. Now, let's go and take a look at what's going on with DHS right now. The waiting lines at airports are huge in key airports, Atlanta, Houston, etc. The president said over the weekend he's sending ICE agents in to help out TSA. ICE, in this weird way that the bills went through, ICE has been funded for several years. TSA, as part of the DHS thing, they're not being funded right now. They're not making any money. These people, they only average about, starting salary is $50,000 a year. Not much, right? It's an unpleasant, difficult job. But you got to pay. You got to keep the lights on, right? And if you haven't gotten paid for 2-3 pay periods, that's going to get really rough. Many of them are quitting to get other jobs. Many of them are just not showing up. And that might be the strategy. You don't show up to get paid. I think that's a probably good plan. You run a small business, you have people working for you, you have a duty to pay them, no matter what. But the Democrats in Congress don't seem to think so. Here's Tom Homan, who's the board czar, the policy advisor on all these issues, talking about the TSA and ICE agents, how they'll help them. Clip 6.
The president made it clear that, we're not going to wait. And he called me this morning, and he's tired of waiting and American people being held hostage, at long lines at the airports, TSA not being paid, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CIS, all these people, federal employees are working for free, and it's like the 3rd time they went without pay. And the president's tired of it. He's not going to let America be held hostage. Now he's going to, we're going to pivot from there, and we're going to send ICE agents to the airport to help alleviate not only the TSA officers who are overwhelmed and understaffed now because many of them left, but we're going to help the American people transit through the airport quicker and not be held hostage by this foolish shutdown that the Democrats started. I mean, this administration didn't shut the government down. It was the Democratic Party that shut it down.
And they're reckless. And they don't care about these people. That's the bottom line. The Democrats are not even close to being the party of the people. Listen to Hakeem Jeffries, though, the minority leader in the House, and see what he has to say. Clip number 7.
It's the reason why we are in a DHS shutdown right now, because Republicans have refused to agree to the type of bold, transformative, meaningful, and dramatic reforms we are demanding in order for the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to move forward. And I won't go through all of the demands, much of which we've talked about repeatedly in the public, but one of those demands is keep ICE out of sensitive locations. And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites.
Okay, and polling, there's the bottom line, polling sites, right? Why do they want ICE out of polling sites? Well, because they want illegal aliens to be able to vote. Really. It's just ridiculous. And this whole business of, oh, it's the Republicans that are... No, it's not. I mean, think about this. Because they want to get rid of ICE. They don't want anybody deported. They don't want immigration law enforced. And so the sacrifices are being made not by the Democrat lawmakers, but by the Coast Guardsmen who aren't getting paid, by the FEMA agents, Secret Service agents, and TSA agents. It is beneath contempt the way they're handling and treating these tens of thousands of people. Unbelievable. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin had a few things to say about this. Clip 8.
What do you think about the idea of having ICE agents backstop Homeland Security and fill in for TSA while the shutdown is going on?
Well, again, if we had an unbiased media that held both sides accountable,
right?
If we had an opposition that really realized, we're at a heightened threat level. Let's not play games with the American citizenry. Okay, let's not play games with the security of our homeland. But we don't have that. So President Trump is being forced to do something to reduce those lines to the airports. Again, it's just unconscionable what Democrats are doing, but because the media is on their side, they're not holding them accountable. I mean, if their tables were turned, we would have been excoriated in the media weeks ago. We would have caved. DHS would have been funded. But here we are a month into this, and DHS is still not funded, and there's really no end in sight.
So you're a yes or a...
Yeah, I mean, whatever it takes to get the airports moving, to allow passengers. I mean, this is going to harm our economy. The last shutdown shaved, I don't know, 1 or 2% away from GDP. Democrats don't care.
That's the bottom line. Democrats do not care. Now, Sean Duffy, who stepped in as the head of Secretary of Transportation, he's been impacted by the TSA shutdown, failure to pay, by the really reckless Democrats. Here's what he has to say as to what we have to look forward to. Clip 9.
They run those same type of security machines at the southern border, right? Packages come through or people come through. They run similar assets. And again, even if we look at the line there, to manage the through flow of people, and even administratively, they'll be helpful. But again, we have ICE agents who are trained and can provide assistance to agents.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's interesting is how this is going to impact things. It's been at the airports. It's been different. There's been a great difference between certain airports. Like Nashville seems to be working pretty well right now. We do have a very, very good metro airport authority here. That's part of it. We also don't have the same volume that other agents have, other airports have. And in particular, what's interesting is what's going on down in Atlanta and Austin and New York City. These are the big backups, Now, today in 14 airports, there will be ICE agents. The 14 were the biggest problems, including Atlanta. On Saturday, Elon Musk said the following, quote, "I would like to offer to pay the salaries of TSA personnel during this funding impasse that is negatively affecting the lives of so many Americans at airports throughout our country." Well, that's great, but it's not really clear how Musk's offer could be implemented. Federal salaries, they're handled through the government payroll system. And there may be some legal restrictions on private individuals or entities directly funding federal employees. It appears to be, Musk is serious about it, but how are you going to do it? Now, there's a way, Elon, I know you're listening, and I'm just going to tell you the way to do it. You ready? So what you need is to get the names, and you should be able to get this, the names of all TSA employees and whatever their salaries are. And you're very good at things like, payment processing, right? Did PayPal, did all sorts of things. You're real smart about that stuff. What you do is you simply provide them an interest-free loan for the period of time that they're not getting paid. And then either they pay you back directly when they get, caught up from the feds, or the feds will pay you. That's the way to do it. The problem is the timeline from the idea to do it and the actual doing of it is a bit. The other problem here, logistically, think about this. So you've been to an airport before, and you've got the lines, you got all the TSA. They have a system. Every airport has a system, and they've got a chain of authority, TSA commanders, etc. Now you bring the ICE guys into these 14 airports. There's going to be a period of adjustment that goes on. Now there'll be some some tasks can be assigned to ICE easily, but then being on the front lines, it requires integration. And that's a little bit of heavy lifting, I think. We'll see how it all plays out. When we come back, I'm going to give you the inside scoop on what the objectives of Islamists and Sharia law is. Back after this.
Everyone, EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at GlockStore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at GlockStore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Okay, so what's going on in the world today? Things seem to be escalating. You've got the Democrats who hate America and trying to bring it down, literally. What are they doing? They're shutting down DHS. We've got the war in Iran, and there's all sorts of things back and forth. Trump says we're negotiating. The Iranians say we're not, but then the Axios is reporting Pakistan and Turkey and Egypt are trying to intervene. Trump has delayed this 5 minutes, for 5 days, the attack on the oil and electricity infrastructure of Iran. But Iran's still, trying to stop passage through the Straits of Hormuz. Look, these are a bunch of dead enders in Iran, and they are in it to win it to the end. And there's only one way to go. You got to beat them. And so, look, whatever it takes, you got to win there. And the Straits of Hormuz have to be open. And ultimately, this is my view, it's not the official objective of the Trump administration. The people of Iran are going to have to be ready, and they're going to have to overthrow the evil Iranian regime. That's going to have to happen. But the people of Iran are going to have to do that. Right now, it's not clear if they've got the capabilities to do that. I think they have the intent. But the leadership and the weapons is what they need, and I don't know if they have them right now. So this is all going to play out. Now, where are we going on this? What is the plan of the Islamists, particularly those that are the hardcore Iranians in the regime? What's their plan? Yeah, I'll tell you what their plan is. Their plan is to establish a worldwide caliphate where every country in the world is run by Sharia law. And they have a very clever way of trying to do it. Here's a former FBI agent. Listen to what he has to say about this. Clip 19.
According to all Islamic doctrine, is to ensure that there is an Islamic state throughout the entire world called a caliphate, and under that, Sharia or Islamic law is the law of the land. That's it. Islam is no more complicated than that. Islam breaks the entire world into two parts. The Dar al-Islam, where Sharia is the law of the land, and the Dar al-Harb, the house or abode of war, where there is not Sharia as the law of the land. The function of Islam is to eliminate the Dar al-Harb until the entire world is a Dar al-Islam. And the vehicle to do that is called what? Jihad, which in 100% of all published Islamic law is only defined as warfare against non-Muslims. So let's just put that on the line. And so we're here talking national security issues. We have people here that are running for the office of President of the United States, and we have to begin there. And what I would put forth is that since, and actually prior to, but since 9/11, our entire national security apparatus has been unprofessional in its approach to this war, from the 4-star generals to the office of the president, to the national security staff, to the leaders of DHS when it was created, the FBI, the CIA, and other agencies. Because we have said this has nothing to do with Islam, despite the fact that our warfighting doctrine says when you analyze an enemy, you start with who he says he is and why he's fighting. And 100% of this enemy that we're facing, from the jihadi in Chattanooga to the 9/11 hijackers and everybody before and in between, have all said we're Muslims waging jihad in the cause of Allah in order to impose Islamic law and establish caliphate, period. So that's what it is. And if we look in Islamic law, authoritative Islamic law, the kind you get at mosque bookstores, not at Barnes & Noble, you will see that 100% of them say that jihad is warfare against non-Muslims. And it's total warfare. It's not just guns and bombs. It's psychological warfare. It is political warfare. It's subversion. It is the whole 9 yards. It's total warfare, something that our DOD has not been practicing. I would say you'd have to go back towards Reagan administration and maybe even beyond that. Complete and total.
Yeah, they haven't been doing that. Now, what's interesting about this, where are all of these Islamists going to? Are they going to other Muslim countries? They are not. They're going to Christian nations. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to replace Christianity with Sharia law. You think I'm kidding? I am not. Take a look at what's happening in the United Kingdom. 5-6% of the population there are Muslim. And now they have slowly overtaken political power in small communities. And now they got the mayor of London, and they turned the prime minister of England into a quivering mass of jello with no backbone whatsoever. And then you've got 10% in France. They've got no-go zones there. You've got the 8% in Sweden. It's working in Europe. Europe, which is basically in leadership filled with stupid cowards, let's be honest, right? What are they doing? They are complying, and they're laying down, and they're abandoning their tradition. What's happening in the United States? Well, we're starting to put a little bit of pushback on it. Right now, 1.5% of the population is Muslim, but they're going to try to make that 5%. When it gets to 5%, you're going to have not just Dearborn and Minneapolis and New York City. Think about that. You got a Muslim mayor of New York City right now who is pushing Islamist agenda. You saw this report, the 9/11 memorial. The memorials to the fallen police officers there, guess what? They've been covered with Islamist rugs. Yeah, that's totally intentional. Believe what your enemy says they want to do, because that's what they want to do here. Here in the United States, we've got an odd combination. It's been called for many years the Red-Green Alliance, the far left and Islamists. What are they trying to accomplish? You think, they have different goals. Well, no, they have one goal. They want to destroy, annihilate our constitutional republic. They're unified in that. Their attitude is, well, let's destroy the constitutional republic, and then we'll fight it out amongst ourselves thereafter. Oh, I can tell you who's going to win that fight. It's not going to be the far left. It's going to be Islamists, because they're armed and dangerous, and they're ready to take down the left. So the steps in this process would be the Red-Green Alliance destroys the constitutional republic, and then the Islamists destroy the left. That's what the plan would be. Melanie Phillips has this to say about leftist ideology. Let's listen to her.
What was happening was that the very idea of objective evidence was being cast aside because it was too inconvenient when it got in the way what people wanted, how they wanted to live their own lives. And as the years went on, it seemed to me that not only was evidence being cast aside, not only was apparently objective evidence by university researchers becoming subjective and warped and wrong and false, but the very idea of evidence was being overturned. The very idea of rationality and reason were being dismissed. And this was all part and parcel of what only appeared to me to be the case after many years, that on issue after issue after issue, family lifestyle choice, multiculturalism, deep green environmentalism, moral relativism, moral and cultural relativism, and all those isms, they were all ideologies. And the point about an ideology is that the idea is sacrosanct. Nothing can get in the way of the idea. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that all these ideologies were utopian. They were all predicated on a belief basically in the perfection of the world. So multiculturalism would eradicate prejudice from the human heart completely. It would stop war. It would stop conflict. Lifestyle choice would eradicate bigotry and the bigotry over differences in people's lifestyles. So no longer would people look down on people who were divorced or single parents and all that kind of thing. They were all utopian. Deep green environmentalism was about saving the planet from frying and just being destroyed completely. So anyone who disagreed with these ideologies, anyone who said, well, actually the evidence shows this is wrong, factually wrong, that couldn't happen because the ideology couldn't be gainsaid. And because these ideologies were all to do with the perfection of the world, anyone who spoke against them was not simply wrong, they were evil. And it couldn't be said because it was such an evil thing. And so you found that evidence became politicized. It became called right-wing, ultra-right-wing, and all the rest of those epithets, and it became unsayable. And the people who dared to say it found themselves bullied and ostracized and persecuted and removed from their social, they lost their friends, they lost their professional advancement, they were threatened with their jobs, some of them lost their jobs, and so you have the situation we have today. And the reason I wrote that book, The Guardian Angel, was because what had happened to me in my professional life, when I started out, I worked for nearly 20 years for Guardian newspapers, the very heart of this liberal universalist ideological perspective. And what happened to me over that period was as I fell foul of that world very badly. But what happened to me seemed to me to illustrate what had happened to the West, what happened to Britain and to the West. And so through the story of what happened to me issue by issue, I could actually tell a bigger story of what happened to us in the West.
So Melanie Phillips was born in London in 1950 to Jewish parents who were left-wing. They were left-wing. She is primarily a journalist, not an academic, and she started her career at the left-wing Guardian, right, 1977, and worked there for, I think, 16 years? But what happened is that she realized that this lack of honesty and integrity just spread throughout the left. Her book that she referenced here, Guardian Angel, My Journey from Leftism to Sanity, outstanding. And listen to this. Just recently she published, and I agree with this completely, The Builder's Stone, How Jews and Christians Built the West and Only Why They Can Save It. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Now let's get this last clip in. Here is a crazy leftist professor talking about the kind of stuff that they're ruining your kids with.
And the idea that I have to get up here and say that trans women are women and that's what I have to use my time to do is absurd. Shame on you. Shame on all of you. And shame on you for using lesbian politics as a front for your transphobia, because this lesbian has had plenty of girlfriends with penises.
I mean, how do you react to that kind of insanity? This is what we're dealing with, folks. All right. We have weak leftist nutcases in the United States trying to tear down the country. We got to stand up for it. All right. When we come back, it'll be time for News Potpourri. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
This is Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken
Do you
heart.
suffer from
Try
declining
Solti
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, folks, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, News Potpourri. This is a portion of the program we talk about those stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, but may have a touch of irony. This is, I don't know, weird apropos of nothing. But remember the Duggar families? They had 19 kids. They've run into a series of legal challenges. Kendra Duggar has been arrested on child abuse charges in Arkansas, misdemeanor charges, following her husband's arrest in Florida for lewd behavior involving a minor. Yikes. Not good at all. We're talking about the TSA shutdown. More than 400 TSA officers have quit since the shutdown began. It's almost as if that's the Democrat plan. Destroy the TSA. This is the third time in 6 months that they've gone without pay? You can't maintain a household if you never know if you're going to get paid or not. I mean, they ultimately get paid, but they've got these periods of time without money. Not good at all. We talked about LaGuardia Airport having an accident. It's shut down now. What happened is there was a collision between an Air Canada jet and a fire truck, and it's pretty messy. There are reports that the air traffic control might have been the issue. The pilot and the co-pilot are dead. A stewardess survived, but she was strapped into her seat. I don't know how that happened, but what a mess that was. Newark, flights have been halted after the control tower was evacuated. We don't know why. Presumably, it's a bit of a bomb threat, I would guess. Also, let's go to Nick Shirley. This guy's great. And he's 23 years old. He exposed all this fraud in Minnesota. Now he goes to Los Angeles. He's exposing fraud. And Mayor Slickster, or Governor Slickster there, Gavin Newsom, now is attacking a 23-year-old kid. Let's hear what he has to say.
Gavin Newsom has said you're hyping massive fraud and you came up empty. What do you say in response to that?
Well, just go ahead and watch the video. I mean, these hospice owners are driving around
$100,000, $200,000 cars. The people in the video even say that there is fraud happening. And then you go to a place where they've received over $1 million in funding, and there's nothing to show.
Yeah, well, you found a defender in Democratic Senator John Fetterman. I want to play that. Watch this.
Well, Fetterman likes what Shirley's done because Fetterman's not a complete idiot. He's a good guy, actually, even though he's probably the only good Democrat there is around. What else do we have? Oh, so Donald Trump going to Memphis today to talk about the Safe Task Force. That's good. There was a little bit of weirdness in Memphis over the weekend. They've had about, 100 teenagers went crazy downtown Memphis, and a couple of people got shot, almost as if they're trying to have an incident prior to his arrival. How about that? Also, interesting stories going on in Iran. There are some reports. A CBS News poll says that the public is not as supportive of that war. They think it's not going well. I don't believe that poll because, right now, even though the Iranians are still throwing the drones out there, they're attacking civilians. They've got some ballistic missiles. They sent a ballistic missile that was intercepted all the way to Diego Garcia, which is like, what's that, 4,000 kilometers away from Tehran? What does that mean? It means that they've got the ability to hit European cities. They're probably going to do that at some point, unless they're taken out. And that's the bottom line. This has got to be serious about this. You've got to win. Now, the Israeli Air Force, despite the fact that, here's a new report, the Israeli Air Force, despite the fact that Trump has said, we're having these negotiations for 5 days. I'm not going to, hit their infrastructure. Turkey and Egypt and Pakistan are, quote, intervening. The Israeli Air Force is targeting Tehran like crazy. Look, this thing is going to go on for a bit, I think. What else do we have going on here? Oh, yeah, Trump basically told ICE, don't wear masks at airports. Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. In London, get this, 4 ambulances from Jewish group were set on fire. What could possibly be the motives? Who knows? There's a lawsuit that says Google AI hallucinations drove a man to terrorism and suicide. We'll see how that all plays out. Here's another interesting story about Elon Musk. This is from Newsmax. SpaceX and Tesla are going to build chip factories in Austin. Now, he lives in Texas now, and that's kind of his base, but he does have some operations here in Tennessee. Here's the story. SpaceX and Tesla will build 2 advanced chip factories at a sprawling facility in Austin, Texas, one to power cars and humanoid robots, and another designed for artificial intelligence data centers in space. Musk said this on Sunday. The comments followed Musk's announcement a day earlier of plans to build Terafab in Austin. Terafab will technically be 2 fabs, each making only 1 chip design. There you go. So that was it. Oh, by the way, for those of you who like science fiction movies, there's an interesting movie out that has had very strong box office. It debuted on Friday. It's called Project Hail Mary. It's by the same author. It's based on the book by the same author that wrote The Martian. Andy Weir's the guy's name. And apparently $80 million in like the first weekend. The biggest hit since Oppenheimer. Might be worth taking a look at. Well, there you go. That's our show for today. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Same time, same place. The website, TennesseeStar.com. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
This is State Senator Mark Patrick. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Patrick.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Patrick, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list, market, and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door, that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent my entire career in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month, as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
FlatFeeNashville.com, FlatFeeNashville.com.